Hello guys, AlexTheGrumpyOne here today. I hope you're well. So today I got a good old Tiguan in the workshop. They're going to need rear brake pad service. They're quite low and I want to replace them before they're going to damage the discs because the discs look fine for now. So I've decided to do a quick video just to show you obviously how to replace the rear brake pads on the Tiguan or most of the VW group vehicles with electronic handbrake, which you can just wind the calipers back in manually. You will have to use Diagnostic tool to unlock them pretty much, to wind them back in, and then you have to still push them in manually. Like I said, for this you're going to need Diagnostic tool. You can get a cheap one as well that I can help you with. I'm going to be using my G-Scan tool, which is probably one of the quite expensive tools for this job, but it's the one I got. But if you need help finding the cheap tool to do this job, I will help you and can send you a few links. So like I said guys, while you're doing this, you're also going to need the battery charger, because once you winding the calipers back in, it needs to be connected. The diagnostic tool is going to stay connected to your car, so you're going to need the constant voltage supply. You're not going to have the car running, and that's why you need a little charger. I'm going to put that in the description below. I've also done a little demo video on the charger that I'm using. It's a good little charger that I'm sure you're going to use in the winter time as well. So yeah guys, let's start by obviously taking the wheels off, and I'm going to take you through all the steps now. Right guys, so as you can see, this is the little charger that I got from Amazon. Like I said, I'm going to put in description below. The perfect thing about this, it got the AGM battery function on there as well, which is the battery that I got here on the Tiguan. So I've selected that setting there. You also got the normal voltage charging for a car or a truck, which you got 12 24 volts, the motorcycle one, and the repair, which is great function. I'm going to definitely try and use that and let you know. But for now, like I said, we got AGM battery, and this is the perfect setting for this battery. I'm going to leave it on because when you're using the diagnostic tool, like I said, you're going to need to have constant feed so it doesn't go wrong while you're working on the electronic handbrake. Right guys, so I got my wheels off. We can get to the caliper now. So one thing I want to say is please make sure, if you're not working on the car lift, if you're working with the trolley jacks, make sure you're safe guys. Make sure you're using everything how you're supposed to and jacking the vehicle up in the right places, and also using not only your trolley jack but also the jack stands. So like I said, just make sure everything's safe. And at this stage I've turned the ignition on. I got my G-Scan 2 tool and I'm going to use it now to obviously unwind the calipers. And like I said, the battery is on charge as well because it's quite important at this stage. So let's just connect to the vehicle and unwind the calipers. Right guys, so to get in the right section, we have to obviously connect to the vehicle first. This is going to show my vehicle. And now we have to go into the maintenance, parking brake electronics. And special functions. And there we go. Brake pad change except Audi A8. So here you go, all the warning messages. So I'm maintaining the battery voltage. And let's start. So we've got the options. So pad change all processing. So we're gonna go F1. Yes, we're gonna run it to open it. Right, so that's all open now. You heard the motors going back, okay. And now obviously replace the brake pads, and once you've done it, that's what I said, you have to leave it connected. Once you replace them, you press OK again, and obviously you're gonna unwind the calipers. So now we're ready to replace the brake pads and discs if you need to replace the discs as well. Right, so turn the ignition off like you said guys and left the diagnostic tool connected. Now I'm just going to clean everything up. As you can see there's a lot of mud and stuff around it. You're going to need 13 and 15 mil spanners for this to undo the caliper. So I'm going to clean all that off. Just make sure you don't damage the rubber seal when you're cleaning this. I'm just cleaning the nut and bolt off so I can get the spanners on properly. Right, so you hold 15 mil nut and get 13 on the bolt and undo it. Same at the bottom. Right, so the bolts are out now. Now we can use a screwdriver to push the caliper off. There you go, that's the caliper off. As you can see there's a lot of mud on there. At this stage it's important to have a look at the seal, clean it all off. So I clean it off with my fingers just to get all the dust off and the dirt. And it's very important to check at this stage the seal, if there's any holes in it or if there's any rust in there, to make sure that it's fine. And obviously then you have to spray a bit of maintenance spray around there and you can wind the calipers back in. But before you wind the caliper back in, it's very important to check your brake fluid level in the bottle under your bonnet first to see if you got enough space for the brake fluid level to go up, which I'm going to show you now how to check that. Right guys, so like I said, the first thing you need to do is to check the brake fluid level in your bottle there before you squeeze the caliper in. So just undo that. And get that out of there and check if the brake fluid is not coming out. Let me just have a look in there. Just make sure there's enough space for it to go up so it doesn't go all over your engine bay. If there isn't enough, then you need to suck some of it out. But in my case, there is enough space to push the caliper back in. So I'm just going to squeeze it in and obviously the brake fluid will rise up again. Right, so after checking that you got enough space, you now can proceed obviously to either pushing the piston back in or just checking the rest. There's the sliders there that you can see. I'm going to be taking them out and checking the seal and also applying some grease on them. As you can see there, I'm going to clean them up and put some grease on them. Going to rest the caliper so it's not pulling the brake hose. And now we can remove the brake pads. There we go, they got uneven wear and they're getting low. Yeah, as you can see, there ain't a lot left of them. So now, if you're doing the discs, you have to remove the carrier at this stage. And to remove the carrier, you're going to have two bolts holding that in, which I'm going to show you now and explain you what socket you're going to need for that. Right, so in case you're removing the carrier, guys, you're going to need M14 socket for them, as you can see. I got this pack from US Pro, and this is the perfect pack if you got a VW group car. So in this case, if you got a Tiguan, I don't know, Golf or whatever, this is the perfect pack to have. This will be used on a lot of stuff on them. So like I said, for the carriers, it's M14 they're going to need to put back in there. I'm going to show you now. Right guys, as you can see, there's a socket there on the top one. That's one of them, and the other one's down here at the bottom. So you need to make sure you clean it properly. And when you put the socket, I would recommend using a hammer to just slightly tap it in. Make sure it's all the way in there, because they're going to be very tight. I'm going to put the torque setting in the description below for them and for everything else that you're going to need for this job. But that's what you need to do. You need to take all 2 of them off in case to remove the carrier if you want to replace your discs. The other thing you have to do, guys, if you're removing the discs, is you have to remove that screw there, which is torx 30. Usually they're not too bad, but if they seized up, you can use a impact screwdriver, or just some people use impact gun, but that can just snap it off. I would definitely recommend using, in case it's seized up, obviously using an impact screwdriver, and that will sort it out. So like I said, it is torx 30, and you will need to take it off in case you're taking the disc off. So now I can remove little shims that you got there and clean them up. It's not supposed to be split in half, but you see that one's split. So take them off. Use a file or wire brush to clean all of that off, all the rust, if you got any lumps in there. So make sure there's no rust build up on it. So when you put the new pads in there, they're going to move smoothly in there. That's just going to seize up. Right, so at this stage I'll say it will be quite important to check that you got the right brake pads, or maybe even before this stage. I've already checked that my brake pads are the right ones. You got the number there if you need it. So like I say, I use Paget. It comes with new shims that we're going to put on there now after cleaning it, so you don't need to clean the old ones. And you got 4 new bolts with nylon locks on it. So with the Loctite on it, so that's good. And here's the pads. So we're just going to compare them quickly to make sure that they're the right pads. Obviously, as you can see, the fittings are the same. And obviously, once you got the shims in there, we're going to make sure they're sliding in all right. And we're going to apply the grease on them. Right, let's fit the new shims in there. You'll feel them going in and lock in. Make sure everything's even and it's not rubbing on your disc. Just have a look if they fit evenly in there. Yep, that's perfect. And now we're ready to put the new brake pads in. So like I said, I'm going to use a bit of grease on them. Make sure don't put it on the pad itself, just on the part that's going to be sliding in there. So you can see that fit in there perfectly. And the same on the inner one. Sometimes you also get a brake pad wear indicators that you fit on there. This one hasn't got it. So I'm also going to apply on the inner brake pad grease on in the middle. So that's where the caliper is going to be touching it pretty much. They're going to avoid any noises and easier performance of the caliper. Right, so that's in there now as well. Right guys, I put a bit more grease on there as well because that's where the caliper is going to sit. And like I said, after checking your brake fluid level under the bonnet, make sure there's enough space. And now you're going to be ready to squeeze the calipers back in. In this case, on them, you don't actually need the winding tool. You just squeeze them back in with I'm using the water pump grips, as you can see from US Pro. So if you hold it there and start squeezing them in, it should retract back in. That's what I'm saying. You need a diagnostic tool to obviously retract them in first, because if you don't do that, you won't be able to do this part. So as you can see, it's start going back in. Lovely. So I have to push it all the way back in. And that's it. That's in the right place now. Just going to clean all the rubbish out of there and make sure that the seal is sitting on there properly. So like I said, that's in and ready to be put back on. We've got 2 new 30mm bolts there that we're going to put on. So earlier you see me taking my sliders out to clean them up and put new grease on them. So we're just going to clean them up. They're not too bad. Sometimes they create rust on them, but the seals are fine. So as you can see, they're nice and clean. Just going to put a bit of grease on them, especially there where the seal sits, so it's sliding on properly. There we are. Now we can push them back in. Make sure that the seal sits on properly and goes tight so the moisture doesn't get in there or any dust. And at this stage, we're ready to put the caliper back on. Right. So to get the caliper on, like I said, you got, once the sliders are in, you got 2 new 30mm bolts. They're going to go in there. Just start them up slightly. Locate them correctly. Don't just force them in. Start the thread first. And then obviously use 2 of your spanners again. To do them up. So you got 15. And like I said, I'm going to put the torque settings in the description below. Right guys, make sure they're done up nice and tight. So like I said, double check them with the torque settings that I'm going to put in the description below. And then just, once you finish, just move it around, make sure everything's free. Right guys, so at this stage you are ready now to release the caliper. I've obviously done the other side. I'm not going to show you on the video doing both of the sides because they're exactly the same. So I've done the other side and now you're ready to release it. Obviously first make sure everything's done up, that all of your bolts, and if you replace the discs as well, make sure everything's done up and torqued up. Check your brake fluid level in the bottle, and obviously now you're ready to turn the ignition on and release the caliper to wire it back out. On some cases, on some cars on the VW group, you have to pump the brakes sometimes before you release it. In this case, like you see, it's set on the program just to release it. But if you want, you can obviously pump the brakes. But I'm just going to follow the instructions like it says on there, and I'm just going to release it now and see what's going to happen. Right guys, so I got the ignition on now. Obviously the tool had to stay connected like you see in the message. And now that we replaced both sides and done everything up, I'm ready to press OK. So this is obviously going to close them now. And you can hear it working now. Perfect, so adjusted now, and now we are good to go. So all we have to do now is press OK. OK. Continue. So now it's running the test mode, so I'm going to use it 3 times. So everything has been completed now. It should be fine. Right, so I've just checked it for any DTCs, and as you can see, there's no issues there, so that's all good. In case you have got, like you said in the menu there, you'll have to clear it and run the test mode again. But obviously every tool will be different. This is the example on the G-Scan 2, and as you can see, it worked perfectly, guys. Right guys, so I think we're all done now. Now, very important is obviously check your brake fluid level and disconnect your battery charger and put the cap back on the brake fluid. Obviously see the level if it's right or not. The other thing is very important is start your vehicle up, pump the brakes, make sure there's no leaks anywhere. I don't know if you undone the calipers for any reason or not, but make sure nothing's leaking, make sure they go tight, the pedal feels good. You definitely need to pump the brakes before you start driving. I know it's electronic, but still just make sure you pump them so they feel nice and tight before you start driving. And obviously torque everything up how it's supposed to be, make sure everything's tight, put the wheels back on. I'm going to put all the torque settings for everything, description below, guys. I'm also going to put the tools that I've used in this video in description below if you want any. It will make your obviously job a lot easier, and you already know what you're going to need. So yeah, guys, I think this is not too bad. Obviously the other side's done. Like I said, the job is not too bad as long as you got the diagnostic tool to unwind the calipers, which is slightly annoying. I know it's not obviously for everyone, but I'm going to put in the description below, or you can comment below if you want any advice on a cheaper tool, because G-Scan 2 is quite an expensive tool, but it is a great professional tool. So I can help you with that as well. So yeah, guys, if you like the video, if you think it was helpful for you, or if you want more content, then please subscribe and like my videos. And like I said, comment below and let me know what you think about this video or what else you want help with. And I'll be more than happy to help you with that. So thank you very much for watching this video. Have a good day, guys, and I'll see you soon. Bye.